Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're going to dive into a tale of two really different lands in India, Rajasthan and Assam. It's an amazing story about how people survive and get creative, and it all comes down to this super powerful relationship between us and the world around us. So on one hand, you've got the huge, sun-baked deserts of Rajasthan. I mean, it's a place totally defined by a lack of water. Then you flip the script and you're in the green, water-soaked plains of Assam, a land carved out by one of the most powerful rivers on Earth. We're talking about two complete opposites, right here in the same country. And that really gets to the heart of what we're looking at today. I mean, how do these completely different places shape how people live, how they work, how they even survive? It's way more than just lines on a map, right? We're talking about how the climate and what's available literally sculpts entire economies, cultures, the whole rhythm of day-to-day life. All right, let's jump right in, starting with Rajasthan. And this is a story about some incredible creativity and toughness, all because of one huge challenge. There just isn't a lot to go around. So you hear desert and you probably don't think farming, right? But in Rajasthan, agriculture is everything. It's the absolute backbone of the state's economy. Just look at these numbers. Farming makes up about a quarter of the state's GDP. But get this, a whopping 62% of the working population relies on it to make a living. That's huge. Farming here isn't just a job, it's a way of life for most people. But, and this is the big but, the one constant massive challenge is water. I mean, the rainfall is super unpredictable, you've got no major rivers flowing all year long, and droughts, they're a regular, looming threat. All of that puts this incredible strain on the groundwater, and that single resource basically controls everything about life and work there. So when you're faced with a challenge that big, you might just expect to see struggle. But what you actually see is something amazing: innovation. The local communities, with help from a truly visionary leader, they didn't invent some newfangled tech. No, they reached back into the past and found a powerful, ancient solution for a very modern problem. And this is where the story gets really cool because it just perfectly captures that spirit of adaptation. The man's name is Rajendra Singh, and he didn't come up with some high-tech gadget. He brought back an old idea. He and his group built over 8,600 of these things called Johads. They're basically simple, community-owned tanks that collect rainwater. And by doing that, they have literally brought rivers back from the dead, giving water to more than 1,000 villages. It's just this amazing example of a community saving itself, you know? It shows that sometimes the smartest answers are the ones that have been around forever. And this whole idea of adaptation, it goes right down to the actual crops in the field. I mean, you can't just plant whatever you want out there. It wouldn't survive. So over generations, farmers have become experts at growing really tough, drought-resistant crops. Things like pearl millet, or bajra as they call it, plus maize and different kinds of pulses. It's the perfect example of working with your environment, not trying to fight it. Okay, so let's completely switch gears and head over to Assam. Here, the story is totally different. Life isn't shaped by a lack of water, but by having tons of it. An abundance that can be dramatic and, yeah, sometimes even dangerous. So in Assam, everything, and I mean everything, revolves around the massive Brahmaputra River. This river, along with all the heavy monsoon rain, it's like a gift giver. Every year, it leaves behind this layer of rich, fertile soil all over the plains. It basically creates a paradise for farming. And if you want to understand just how rich this land is, look no further than tea. Assam isn't just some local spot for tea. It's a global powerhouse. We're talking about the biggest single tea growing region in the entire world. It produces a mind-blowing 12% of all the tea on the planet. Yeah, seriously. So next time you're sipping a cup of tea, there's a pretty good chance it came from right here. You know, having all that water means they can do something pretty incredible. Most farmers around the world hope for one, maybe two harvests a year if they're lucky. But in Assam, they can grow and harvest rice 3 separate times a year. 3. Each harvest is timed perfectly to a different season. That level of productivity is just off the charts, and it's all thanks to that river. But here's the twist. All that water, it's a double-edged sword. The same monsoons that make everything so fertile can also cause catastrophic floods. The air is always humid, which is perfect for pests and diseases that can wipe out crops. And too much water can actually drown the fields and pollute everything. It turns out that dealing with too much of a good thing can be just as tricky as dealing with not enough. Okay, so we've talked a lot about farming, but what about everything else? Let's take a look beyond the fields and see how these places influence the local crafts and other industries. And this right here is a perfect picture of how what's around you shapes what you create. In Rajasthan, it's all about what you can pull from the dry earth. You've got stone and minerals for incredible dyes, which go into those famous tie-dye fabrics, and brilliant blue pottery. On the other hand, in Assam, you're surrounded by lush plant life. So, of course, the crafts are all about bamboo, cane, and silk. They make amazing furniture, traditional hats, and weave these gorgeous fabrics. It's like the land gives you the ingredients, and people's creativity turns it into art.
So these big environmental forces, they don't just shape what people make, they also shape where people go. And you'll see that these two states have totally opposite stories when it comes to migration.
It's a textbook case of push and pull factors. Think about it. In Rajasthan, the tough farming conditions and the water shortage literally push people to leave. They head out looking for better, more stable jobs in other states. But in Assam, it's the opposite. It's big industries, tea, coal, oil, they act like a magnet. They pull people in from other places, offering work and opportunities that just aren't available back home. So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? Why does it matter? Well, it shows us that whether you have too little of something or too much, you're going to face some really unique challenges. Rajasthan's story is an incredible lesson in how to be resilient and conserve what you have. Assam's story is all about managing abundance and the risks that come with it. But really, the main point is that human life is just this amazing ongoing story of adapting to whatever the world throws at you. When you look at it, these two places are just this powerful reminder of how deeply connected we are to our environment. It's not just about what the land gives us to use, it's about how it sparks our creativity, how it shapes our entire culture, and really, how it sets the course for our future. And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. In a world where we're all facing huge climate challenges, what can we learn from these stories? I mean, these are timeless tales of people adapting to their world. So, what lessons can we take from the deserts of Rajasthan and the flooded plains of Assam to help us build a better, more resilient future for all of us?